Thank you so much. Our last speaker, Giulia Zedron. She's from Italy. She lives in Brussels. And if you want to get her upset, tell her that you like pizza with pineapple on top.
Yeah, that's a good way to start. Okay, so I will now present to you the W4RES project. You will see that in many aspects, the approach we follow is close to the approach followed by the other projects that have been presented, but we look at the challenge of promoting the adoption of renewable energy sources from a different perspective. So we take a gender balance perspective. That's not the right direction. Okay. So the innovative concept behind W4RES is based on the idea that we can promote the adoption of renewable energy sources by involving more women in the sector. Specifically, let's say with W4RES, we focus on the heating and cooling market. But before I start telling to you more about how we did it, just some quick facts about the project. This is a 3 years Horizon 2020 project. We are reaching now the end. This is our last month. And the project brought together 12 partners from 8 European countries: Italy, Greece, Bulgaria, the Slovak Republic, Germany, Belgium, Denmark, and Norway. So how did we come up with the idea of W4RES? We started by looking at the sector and at a very specific segment of the sector, the heating and cooling one. You have already heard some of these numbers from Dimitris before, but the heating and cooling sector alone, heating and cooling alone makes up 50% of Europe's final energy demand. And as of 2020, there's a typo on the slide, as of 2020, just 23% of heating and cooling was produced using renewable energy sources. So we still heavily rely on fossil fuels, coal, natural gas, and this heavy reliance on non-renewable energy sources, of course, contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, and the heating sector alone contributes to 38% of these emissions. So then we looked at the sector from another perspective, the gender balance. If we look at the number of women scientists and engineers in Europe, we know we are not close to gender balance. But if we look at the renewable energy sector, more specifically, the numbers are even lower. So, for example, only 32% of the workforce in renewable energies consists of women, and only a small group of women takes up roles in STEM or other technical jobs, just 28% and 35% respectively, while the larger amount of women in the group tends to take administrative jobs. So in W4RES, we take these two, let's say, type of information that we received so far. Then we know from the literature that the role of women is recognized for its potential as agents of change, so they can bring a great contribution in the transition toward renewable energy sources. And this is how we came up with the concept of addressing the transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy, and to do so by scaling up a more active involvement of women, be it as entrepreneurs, decision makers in businesses, policymakers, and consumers. And by doing so, support, let's say, achieve the targets that the EU has set for 2030. Let's take a look at how we did that. So we started by setting up 8 regional hubs, one in each country of our partner organizations. We really took the time at the beginning to bring together stakeholders from the quadruple helix. So we involved people from the industry, from the academia, local policymakers, civil society, and we really started by trying to understand the local framework conditions, the needs of the people, their barriers when it comes to adopting renewable energy sources, but also barriers for women in the sector. We also identified case studies, successful case studies of women in the sector. We studied their stories. And together with these people in the hubs, we co-created a series of market uptake support measures consisting of business support, technical support, capacity building, and awareness raising. And we deployed these support measures in the different countries in 2 rounds. We did so. And we also organized in each country dedicated hackathons tailored to the specificities of the regions, where we try to understand the impact of our actions and the measures that we were providing. And then we organize cross-country dialogues to exchange lessons learned and best cases across the countries. So now that we have reached the end of W4RES, what have we achieved? During the project, we have set up an observatory. There you can find information and tools about the tools and resources that we have developed. You can find a forum with the latest developments in the sector and the projects that we have supported. We have our 8 regional hubs that you can visit to check information on local statistics and financial framework, for example. We have created a support scheme for women-led projects in renewable heating and cooling, and we have successfully supported 56 projects. And even though W4RES is ending now, this doesn't mean that the work in these projects is over. The people will keep progressing, bringing on the work we have started together. And more about these projects will be shared in the following sessions. Then we have organized national campaigns that have contributed to increasing, let's say, the awareness locally. Specifically, we have organized capacity building seminars in each country. These seminars were focusing on gender mainstreaming in companies and organizations in the renewable energy sectors. And we really invite you to join our workshop this afternoon that is organized by our partner WECF from Germany. And then we have translated all our results into policy recommendations and a replication guide and toolkit. And of course, the work we have been doing as W4RES represents a first step, but our results are accessible for all those that want to replicate our work and keep progressing to support the development of a more competitive, inclusive, and gender-responsive renewable heating and cooling sector. So of course, there's a lot of things that we would like to share with you, but I believe we will cover all of these in the next sessions.
Thank you, Julia, and all the panelists for the excellent